My lords, we have potential leaks. Stellaris artwork of a previously unknown species type, the Glamazons, has been posted along with Shipsets, space station and megastructure designs. This artwork has been posted by an independent game studio based in Sweden, not directly by Paradox themselves, but it does share all the hallmarks of the normal Stellaris art drops that we get. My guess is that this artwork has been outsourced and either there has been a miscommunication regarding its release, or this content was commissioned and has since been shelved. It could also be that this independent studio was fishing for work, i.e., look Paradox, this is what we can do, this didn't make the cut for whatever reason, and thus they've posted it to their portfolio anyway. The latter suggestion would be sort of odd to me, given that it's covered in Stellaris branding, but I don't know the ins and the outs of copyright law. It would also be odd because they've partially credited legitimate Stellaris artwork people on the post, but the answer is I don't know. Of course, I should also note that it could very well be it's all entirely an artist's personal take on a game they enjoy playing. It could all be fan art. We just don't know. But, bearing all that in mind, let's explore what's been leaked, and we will start with the portraits of the self-titled Glamazon species. At first glance, all of these portraits appear extremely feminine in design, and they are likely all supposed to be female. What's also interesting is that we appear to have different phenotypes of the same species, i.e. the Glamazons appear to be able to be lithoids, necroids and aquatics, and we have all three different designs to look at. Starting with the lithoids, they appear largely the same, but if you notice they all have different types of jewellery. One has a sort of rock-pooled turquoise type jewellery, the other has a dark onyx or obsidian type rock necklace, and the third is covered with diamonds or pearls, clearly looking the more glamorous of the three. But they are all clearly extremely feminine in design, even in pose. The next set of portraits we have are necroid species, but importantly they are still under the Glamazon design arc, and I wonder if this means that the Glamazons will be able to operate as multiple phenotypes within the same species. I'm definitely getting an Amazonian sort of vibe, entire civilizations of only women, but perhaps from multiple different types of species. Maybe this is going to be an entirely new take on a species pack. The necroid design is similar in theme to the lithoid design. We have three of the same portrait with different clothing icons on them. Being necroid, the skulls are clearly prominent. The next image we have is of the lithoid again with the rock-pooled jewellery, but if you notice here, the image on the right appears slightly more ostentatious in design. The crystals where her ears should be are far more prominent, and her shoulders also have more crystals on them. I wonder if this is a variant or a ruler subset portrait. Now we move on to more concept art images, and these appear to be necroids again, although one of them does look slightly aquatic. I think what stands out here for me the most is that one of these beings in particular, potentially all of them, look extremely similar to Satana, the synthetic queen. Now, I've never really thought about Satana's species origin. She certainly could be a necroid, and looking at all these images and looking at Satana, I can see a definite similarity here. Maybe the species pack of this expansion is going to explore Satana's backstory perhaps. How did she ascend to become the synthetic queen in the first place? Why did it happen? This would all be a very interesting narrative arc indeed, and one that I had not seen on the agenda at all, but one that I'd be really interested in exploring. As before, the concept art fits the same design of all of the portraits that we've seen so far. They're all feminine, and they're all looking very regal. My particular favourite of these is the one with the tubes coming out of her head. I'm getting definite Borg Queen vibes. The next set of images we have access to is an aquatic type, again clearly very feminine, but this one is a particular favourite of mine. If we zoom in on it, we can see a tiny little pufferfish. Pet. Pets are becoming more prominent in Stellaris portraits, and I'm all for this. We have birds, slugs, and little rock pets, but this little fish could easily become a fan favourite. As for the design itself, I think it looks really clever. you can see that the creature likely evolved out of a shell and then somehow grew a body from there, but it has retained its original coiled shelled head. I think this is a really good design. The overall head design is also giving me flashbacks to Independence Day and the aliens that are in that. They look remarkably similar, tentacles and all. So moving on from these images, we now get access to some 3D renders. We have the Satana looking Necroid alien and the Lithoid Queen looking alien. Moving through them, we can see renders of all the creatures that we've just discussed, and finally some animations on them, before we come onto the concept art, and I think the gold necklace and the sunken face here looks incredible. Now finally, we're going to move on to the shipsets. Now these shipsets scream a particular theme to me, Shadows of the Shroud. They are powered by some sort of singularity, clearly in the centre of the ship. They are purple, their design looks very Elder, very perhaps Necron-y, very psionic. I wonder if this is going to be a shipset that we will receive in Shadows of the Shroud. I'm also getting very Thousand Sun vibes from these. Anyone who follows 40k will hopefully know what I mean. We have the concept art on screen now, and the concept art of the various space stations that I would assume will come with this as well. We've also been shown some real life in-game renders of this, so clearly this project has some teeth to it and it's come a reasonable way. The first is a moving visual of a mining station that appears to have some sort of petal that gently floats in space. At first glance, one might assume that this could be a plantoid shipset rather than anything else, but then if we zoom out, I think it does become clearer that it fits some sort of dark, shadowy, shroudy kind of shipset. We also have one of the ships rendered in-game, and I do think it looks really, really good, and I would have to again mention the Thousand Sun vibes massively here. The somewhat Egyptian style artwork, the hieroglyphs on the side of the ship, and the general design really does give me 1000 Sun vibes. Maybe it's just the colour. Moving on to the final set of images we have a science ship, and again it continues to give me those same vibes. We have a mining station and the science ship we've already seen but now zoomed out. If you had to ask me what this ship was, it could even look a bit like an ether drake or shard, or perhaps space fauna rather than a mechanical ship. It's an interesting concept. The next image shows us multiple cruisers and science ships together in game. It looks to me like this is 2 cruisers and 2 science vessels. I would suggest that although they do look really good, they do look very similar, and it almost makes me want to double check what the current science ship and current cruiser from different shipsets look like, because this cruiser and this science ship look awfully similar in design. Next we have the art installation, which feels a quite random megastructure to show off, but nevertheless here it is. I would suggest that this doesn't look wildly different from some of the other megastructure shipsets that we have, humanoids for example. And here it is in action. And then as I continue to scroll through these, you can see how the different textures were created and rendered onto the models. Finally, we have several different ship swatches and different colours that were used. Obviously we don't know the exact theme or concept of this species pack, but I think using purple was clearly the right choice. Some of these other ones look a little too bright to convey a shroudy, shadowy message, if that is indeed the message that they wanted to portray. But that brings what I have for you for a close. Please, tell me, what do you think? Is this future content? Is it concepts that have been shelved? I personally think the shipset and the portraits are really cool, particularly the aquatic snail with the pufferfish pet, and the necroids that look a little bit like Satana. Who are they? What are they? What's their backstory? I'd love to know where Satana came from, but I guess most importantly, if Paradox was to make this, would you buy it? As ever, keep watching, keep subscribing. Tomorrow you're going to get the hard reset origin story, potentially the best narrative origin Stellaris has ever had. Happy Saturday, folks.